A long time ago, and by a long time ago I mean a couple of months ago, we pretty much established that if Oda showed us what Capone's plan was to defeat Big Mom in the manga, then it was probably not going to succeed. Okay? Because part of a writer's job is to play with the audience's expectations. So you never give the audience exactly what you tell them is going to happen. You have to add a surprise. So the plan failed. But the way it failed, it was pretty much an "are you kidding me" moment, because her King's Haki, alright, is so strong, it disintegrates 3 rocket launchers at the same time. And remember, the whole point of destroying the picture is to get her to go into a state of crisis, because once she's in crisis, her defenses go down. Her iron skin ability kind of just goes away for a couple of seconds there. And that's why she scraped her knee. But turns out that didn't even matter, because she activated a force field in the form of King's Haki to protect her anyway. And it's like, Capone, wait, wasn't Capone there at the last tea party when he saw the scream? Odds are he had a pretty good idea of how strong the scream would be. Then again, the picture didn't break in that tea party. So it would stand to reason that, hey, this time we're actually going to break the picture, therefore the Haki or the scream will be a lot more intense. So to me, it's like, you didn't plan for this, like, at all. At all. These rocket launchers were made in some type of Taiwan bootleg factory. Caesar is like the anime manga equivalent of Wile E. Coyote. His inventions never work. Also, to be fair to Big Mom, this is one of the biggest King's Haki feats in terms of its physical manifestation and in terms of it having an effect physically on things. Another moment that comes to mind is when Shanks goes onto Whitebeard's ship and he begins cracking the ship, like the wood literally begins to crack. And also when Shanks spars with Whitebeard, the sky begins to split in half. So that's another example. And I think Gastino has a pretty good line in this chapter when he says, like, once a Yonko, always a Yonko. Or he says something like, a Yonko will be a Yonko. Meaning, we definitely underestimated her. I mean, come on. Which reminds me of the thing that Peckham's told Capone before he shot him off the cliff. He's like, dude, you're definitely underestimating Big Mom. You have no idea. What a massive, massive fail. It was hilarious, don't get me wrong. Those facial expressions were priceless. I especially enjoyed when Capone dips. He doesn't wait for anything. He turns on his heel. He's like, plan failed, plan failed. I was, wait a minute, hold on. I didn't know Usopp was in Whole Cake Island. Before that scene, though, I really liked how they showed Katakuri creating these mochi sort of cotton balls, bubbles, that he could use and other family members could use as earplugs. I thought that was really cool. Then Gastino's like, oh, I need to get these guys out of there. I'm their only form of escape. So he flies in there with the mirror and he's like, oh, the air pressure. Why is it so windy in here? And you know things are bad, all right? When you have Luffy's face and you can't see his pupils. Also, page 13, look at Brulee's expression when the mirror shatters. You know this is bad when even your enemies are shocked for you. And just to be optimistic here, just to look at the silver lining, I think that if Capone was ever planning on betraying the Straw Hats, this moment would have been it, and he didn't betray them. So I'm pretty confident in the fact that there's not going to be a betrayal from his part. Because, I mean, he literally is offering them protection by the end of the chapter by turning himself into this giant castle fortress. And by the way, like, is that like some type of an awakening? Or is it just like, because we've never seen him do this ever. Personally, I don't think it's an awakening. Because from what we've seen, Paramecia awakenings pretty much involve the user manipulating their surroundings. Like Doflamingo turning everything to string, so it would kind of be something like Capone turning everything to castles or to fortresses or to something like that. But I think this is a great opportunity for supernova feats. We know that as a fighter, Capone is a tactician and he's also a very defensive fighter. So I want to see how many hits can he take from Armament Haki Katakuri. I want to see those defensive feats. How much damage can this thing take? How much can you tank Capone in this form? Are you gonna coat yourself in Armament Haki Because you know these commanders are going to come a knocking. You saw that epic panel, probably the most epic panel of this entire chapter, of Katakuri, Smoothie, Oven, and Daifuku. They're like... Now actually, I just noticed this. I read it the second time. If you look at that final panel of Capone, in his castle form, he actually has arms and legs. So that means that the castle is not going to stay there. He's probably going to just get the guys in and haul ass. He can move. So he's literally their ticket out of there. And I'll tell you one thing, all right? Next week, whoever gets inside the castle, the characters that manage to get inside the castle walls, those are the people going to Wano. Because I'll tell you one thing, once that fortress closes, I guarantee you it's not opening up again. So that's it. That's the lifeboat. The last route of escape. So unfortunately, if somebody's going to sacrifice themselves and stay behind, it's going to happen pretty soon. Also, Big Mom ain't going down this arc at all. This chapter pretty much confirms it. It's obvious. There's even a line in this chapter, all right, that states there's just no way we can win this fight. So Big Mom will continue to be a part of the story, and we'll probably see her in Elbaf. And speaking of Big Mom, the bits of the flashback that we ended up getting in this chapter were incredibly insightful. It confirmed a lot of things. Number one, it confirmed that indeed, she did eat the kids and Mother Carmel. So she ate them alive. That's how dark this thing is. She ate them alive. There were two witnesses. One of them is Strossen, the chef. Now here's the thing about that chef, all right? That chef has the ability to turn things into ingredients. If you look at his appearance, there's this one panel actually when he's cutting a log and he eats a little bit of meat, but he sticks his tongue out and he kind of looks like Perospero. And we know that Perospero is the first son. So you can go ahead and draw your own nasty, gross, sexual conclusions about that. I'm not going to get into it because that's just nasty, but... Also, I like how the Giants are so appalled after finding out about this that they refuse to speak Linlin's name. Kind of like Voldemort. We do not speak her name. Also, I thought it was interesting how Mother Carmel's dream... I mean, we knew that Big Mom would inherit that dream eventually of creating a place where there is no discrimination. But the way that they framed it in this chapter was that, wow, that was actually a pretty decent dream, Carmel. So I don't know if that was part of the sister act that she had to pretend to be nice, or if that was like legitimate something that she kind of hoped to accomplish at some point. It's really weird. She's a very, very like intriguing character in that respect. But then unfortunately Big Mom, because she has like this mentality of like a 5-year-old or, very, very snobby, like she's like, well, you're going to follow my dream that leads to peace. And if you don't agree with it, then you're stupid and you're going to die. So just completely inaccurate reasoning from this little gluttonous ogre. This chapter also confirmed what I said last week, that island that they are in eventually does become Whole Cake Island, but she doesn't stay there. If you notice, there are a couple of scenes where she's out and about terrorizing countries, or at least one country. We see her pick up a king and she's like, yeah, like give me sweets. That's how she begins making a name for herself, which is something that every single Yonko has to do at some point. You do not get a reputation by staying in one place. You have to show the world your influence and power. So she goes out, terrorizes these countries, and you see Prometheus and Zeus are now activated, so she has learned to control her soul to that extent. We do not see Napoleon, no, Napoleon being the hat, but she's wearing another hat, so I guess Napoleon comes in later. I'm not gonna lie though, that hat actually looks pretty cool on her. On page 10, we see a guy running away from her, as she's terrorizing civilians, and the guy's wearing a Panda Man shirt. Thought that was nice. In that same page, we have the Marines hyping her up, giving her a bounty and saying that she's more dangerous than Cypher Pole. At that age, that is crazy. It's like Caesar said, a Yonko is a Yonko. On that same page, pretty much makes it obvious now that the way that Big Mom got the Devil Fruit ability was pretty much automatically from eating Carmel, and that there wasn't a fruit around, because we don't see it in this chapter. Plus, there's just not enough time in between when she eats Mother Carmel and the kids and the time where Struzen comes into the picture. It seems like a very short period of time. So I don't think she would have time to like, oh, there's a fruit, I'm gonna eat it. So to that effect, I think the chapter pretty much establishes the logic that if you do eat a Devil Fruit user, you get the power that the user has. Or you have to eat a specific part of the user. You don't have to eat them whole.
And I'm just going to throw out a theory here, all right, because people were connecting this incident to what happened at Marineford with Blackbeard, saying that maybe Blackbeard ate Whitebeard or something like that. Here's a shot of Whitebeard before he died. You see all these holes on his chest and stuff. So I'm going to say one thing. I think you don't have to eat the Devil Fruit user, but I do think you need to eat a part of him, and I think that part is the user's heart. I think Blackbeard ate Whitebeard's heart. And I only say this too because in Dressrosa, Burgess was coming in to kill Luffy, all right? And he had a knife. So I'm guessing that the knife was to get his heart out. That just seems like a very, very Blackbeardish thing to do, considering how gross and conniving he is. It just seems to go along with his character. It's just an idea, so let me know what you think in the comments section. Thank you so much for watching. Like the video if you did. I thought that was a really good chapter of One Piece. Also, shout out to Cavendish and Solomon in the cover page. It's pretty much the explanation as to this whole flashback was the explanation as to why they were being followed by a couple of ships. I thought it was great. So that means that Cavendish has more allies that can be helpful then once the actual final war goes down, I guess, because there's so many people in love with him. It seemed like that was the end of that cover story, so we may get a new character next week. Also, the Vinsmokes were kind of pretty much absent from the chapter. I mean, I think they were there in the background, but they were pretty much absent. So expect them to play a major role either next week or pretty soon. Thank you for watching. Comment, like the video if you did. Subscribe to my channel for more One Piece reviews. Catch you guys later. Bye.